In July of 1993, at the age of just 9, my life changed forever. It was late at night. I should have been getting ready for bed, but instead, I was being ushered out of the house with suitcases, driven to the airport to board my very first international flight, traveling a whole 3.5 hours from Delhi to Bangkok, Thailand, where my father was waiting for us. Things had been very disorienting lately. A month prior, I had seen my father cry for the first time. He was leaving for Thailand the next day and came to tuck me in for the night. Sitting on the edge of the bed, my father said, "I'll miss you." And as he said it, his smile turned upside down, like a strong man turning a metal rod. And his face crumpled, and I didn't recognize him for a second. You see, my dad had always been a jovial guy, the life of the party. And for a little tomboy like me, he was super fun. We would play cricket in the living room, knocking vases off tables and breaking them. We would pretend we were cricket stars, taking a break from training, chatting about last night's match. In another game, we were office colleagues sitting down to lunch to discuss our disappointing wives. I never had reason to doubt my parents' marriage or the quality of my parents' marriage. As a couple, my parents, they were in their 30s at the time, threw fun parties that ran late into the night with amazing food, and sometimes there were singers in attendance. I would get new dresses and very creative cakes for my birthday. For my 9th birthday, it was a Ninja Turtle. We had an Atari game console and only 2 controllers, but there was always 3 of us, so we had to very politely share. We took road trips to hill stations, caravanning with other families and listening to corny love songs on the tape deck. These didn't feel like the same people. My mom had fretted and prayed with her sister in the days prior over something called visas. She wasn't sure we would get them. On the airplane, they served breakfast with a funny looking meat I'd never seen before. "It's a sausage," my mom said. "Try it, you'll like it." I could tell she was trying to be upbeat. At Bangkok airport, I had never seen so many people who were not Indian. In an ocean of foreign faces, we looked and looked and looked for my dad. I looked up at my mom, and for the first time, I could see that she was scared, and that made me very scared. And finally, the crowds parted, and we saw him approach us. But he looked different. I couldn't tell how. He seemed fatter or thinner, one of the two. I don't remember how he greeted me, but in the taxi, he spoke mostly to my mother. He sounded unhappy about the job, his boss, his colleagues, something about there not being enough money. He was using swear words, and my mom was trying to placate him. We were driving to the new apartment he had chosen for us. "I don't know if you'll like it," he told my mom, "but after all the fucking dumps I saw, I thought I was in heaven." We got to the apartment. It had wooden floors, not the white stone floors I had grown up with in Delhi. It looked dark. We met the helper that my dad had hired. She spoke Hindi, but she wasn't Indian. It was very confusing. And if my mom was unhappy about the apartment, the choice of helper, the job stability situation, my dad's apparent health and mood, she didn't say. Not that day, anyway. Looking back, I think of that moment as the first great rupture in my life, after which I would never be the same. My dad and I didn't really play cricket together again, or any fun role-playing games. I encountered racism among the kids at school and witnessed my parents fight a lot. My dad drank a lot in the years that followed. We still went on road trips sometimes, but they worried about money for many years. 4 years later, I came out to them, and that took a long time to get used to. 4 years after that, I left them and moved to the States. A lot of beautiful things happened too, and we never stopped loving each other, but things were never simple ever again. That day when I turned 9, after we dropped off the bags at our apartment, my dad took me to my very first McDonald's and bought me a Coke and my very first burger. Chicken, of course. I should have been delighted to be sitting with my mom and dad, a burger and a Coke in a large wooden toy train, but I could hardly eat. I wasn't a child anymore.